So let's move into our tips for round 10. Now, my brother has sent me through his tips, so we'll go through them as well. But we'll start on Thursday night. Up in Darwin, very interesting game. Geelong versus Gold Coast. I have gone Geelong. Friday night, Sydney versus Carlton. I have gone Sydney. On Saturday afternoon, I've gone Collingwood over the Crows. Saturday evening, I've gone the Giants over the Western Bulldogs. Saturday night, I have gone Fremantle over St Kilda. Saturday night as well, I've gone Brisbane over Richmond. Sunday, the early game, I've gone the Bombers over North Melbourne. Sunday mid-game, I've gone Port Adelaide over Hawthorn. And the final game of round 10, I've gone Melbourne over the West Coast Eagles in WA. So my brother has gone the Gold Coast Suns over Geelong. He's gone Sydney over Carlton, Collingwood over Adelaide, GWS over the Bulldogs, Fremantle over St Kilda, the Brisbane Lions over Richmond, the Bombers over North Melbourne, Port Adelaide over Hawthorn, and the Melbourne Demons over the West Coast Eagles. So first of all, we'll go through the one difference we've had this week, which was the Gold Coast Geelong game. I'm going Geelong because they've lost their last two games, which has been very tough. I do think that they were kind of due to lose, but last week was very disappointing. I know they did catch back and nearly beat Port Adelaide, but the fact that they were 49 points down against Port Adelaide, that was not playing their best team either. They were playing a lot of different players. Port Adelaide dominated them in the first quarter and a half, nearly 2 quarters. The fact that Geelong got beaten that bad, I don't think that's going to happen again. They will miss Jeremy Cameron and maybe Tom Hawkins if he's rested, but honestly, with the conditions up there, I don't think that's a bigger deal as a lot of people are trying to make, because I think it's going to be pretty humid conditions. I don't think it's going to be very good for the key forwards anyway. So I think if the likes of Ollie Henry, who plays down there, and they have a bunch of smalls, they may even have one rookie come in. I think Shannon Neal could possibly come in as well. So if it's Tom Hawkins and Ollie Henry, I think they'll be fine. Maybe Shannon Neal comes in, I don't know. But I do think that the Cats will be okay, and I think they'll be able to win this game. And also, the Cats will be coming off a 6-day break, while the Gold Coast will be coming off a 5-day break. So that's another reason why I think Geelong will win. The one thing that my brother did bring up, which is a very good point about the Gold Coast Suns, is the fact that they will be accustomed to the conditions. They are staying up there. So there are obviously talks about that they could be tired after playing a really tough game there. I do sit on the side of the Gold Coast Suns will be a little bit more tired. I do know they were playing, obviously they were playing North Melbourne, so it wasn't like a big game that they were playing up there. But the game did come very sluggish and there was a lot of turnovers in the game, especially towards the end. So I think the Gold Coast did get pretty tired, and that's why I think they're going to be they're going to struggle. My brother did bring up the fact that the Gold Coast have a very good record in Darwin recently. I think they've won their last 5 or 6 up there. I do think that's a very interesting point as well. The basic reason why I'm picking Geelong, though, is I don't see them losing 3 in a row. And I think that the loss of Jeremy Cameron, I think it's probably okay this week. I think it's going to be a lot better for the smaller players like Myers, Close, Stengel. And I think they're a lot more dangerous than the Gold Coast Smalls as well. So as long as Geelong's midfield can hold strong, because that will be one area where the Gold Coast can beat them. If they can hold strong, equalise in there, I think they'll win this game, the Cats. Next game I want to talk about is Sydney versus Carlton. Massive game on Friday night. So the reason why I've picked Sydney is because I think they're in very good form at the moment. I think that at the moment, Carlton, they scraped through against Melbourne and they lost a couple of games very close as well. So this is going to be a very close game. So really excited for my heart rate. Hopefully I can stand up okay against Carlton. If Carlton play the game like they did in the first 3 quarters against Melbourne, I think they'll give this game a real shake. If they play it like they did in the last quarter against Melbourne, Sydney will have a field day. So as long as Carlton bring the pressure that they do in the midfield, they win their clearances pretty convincingly, because that's always very important at the SCG, and they can get Harry Mackay and Curnow separated and they don't just bomb it on their head, which has been a concern for Carlton this year at times. They will definitely give Sydney a shake because Tom McCartan is out. Lewis Melican did actually play quite well in elimination final last year, so I'll be interested to see how he goes. Carlton can get their midfield up and going, getting a lot of clearances, and they can get separation between Curnow to Koning if he's up there, Bidnet and Kai. If those, the resting ruck and the 2 forwards can get some separation against Sydney, they'll have a big chance. But if Sydney can equalise in the midfield, they can put enough pressure around the footy as they did in the last few weeks, Sydney, which has done really well. They can put a pressure around the footy which makes Carlton just bomb it long every time. Sydney's defence should be able to hold up, and then they should be able to go down the other end. I think they've got a pretty dangerous forward line at the moment, the Swans. Will Hayward got a chance to show the management of Carlton how much he's got to offer, so we'll see how he goes. He's kicked 8 goals the last 2 weeks, which is very good form for Will Hayward. But yeah, that's kind of where I think it's going to be won in that game. If they can bring that, 180 range to 200 range of like that pressure rating, Sydney will win this game. So that's where I've gone with them on that. And then the final game we'll talk about for the tips this week is St Kilda Fremantle. So a very interesting game, Saturday night at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda have to win this game. They have to. It's against Fremantle. I know Fremantle, they're pretty hard read. I did say it in the review. I think it's very hard to take Fremantle's game against Sydney too much on face value because of how emotional the 24 hours was, obviously with the passing of Cam McCarthy. So I don't think you can take that a lot into account for Fremantle this season. I think this will be very interesting. I think Fremantle should win this game. I think they need to win this game because it's away from home. It's against a team that's lower than them. If they want to make finals this year, Fremantle, they should be winning this game. St Kilda, they do need to win it because if they keep on performing like this, they're going to fall behind the bottom 4 teams right now, which are Hawthorn, West Coast, North, and Richmond. And right now, 15th to 18th, they're definitely the lower teams right now. They are the teams that you would expect to be in the bottom 4 this year. That's where they're sitting right now. If St Kilda fall into that pack, that's a shocking season. If they fall into that pack of teams right now. So they need to win this game. But Fremantle, I think they're going to be too strong. I think that Fremantle's defense holds up brilliantly against St Kilda. Not that they really have to do a lot, but I think they can honestly keep them under 50 points, Freo, because I don't think St Kilda can kick 8 goals. They can't. If Max King's not going to kick the goals, I don't think Higgins or Butler's going to be back. Where are they getting their goals from? So unless the midfielders can contribute, I can't see St Kilda scoring over 50 points. And Freo, they can kick 11, 12, 13, 14 goals. I think they can do that against St Kilda. I do think St Kilda's defence stands up, but I do think Fremantle do have enough potency up there. The likes of Josh Tracy, he can bring it to the ground to the smalls. They obviously rested Michael Walters a little bit last week because he started as the sub, so I think that he'll be raring to go. I think Fremantle win this one pretty comfortably, to be honest, and I think St Kilda are going to be in a lot more woes after round 10 because I don't see them getting anywhere near Fremantle, and this is going to be a very poor start to, nearly halfway through the season now. St Kilda will be in that pack of near the bottom 4 of the ladder. So that's kind of the tips for this week, guys. Before we move on into the AFL fantasy chat, let's look at the AFL tipping league. So at the start of the year, we did have an AFL tipping league started for our channel. We're doing it next year, I'll assume, because we've got a bunch of new followers. So sure, we'll make a new league for it. But anyway, let's take a look. So Brandon S. still has the lead. He's had the lead for the majority of the year so far, but he's definitely getting caught up on by a lot of us. I got 6th last week. So I'm sitting in 4th spot, equal 3rd. So good on me. Go me. I'm insane. So Brandon Ness leads on 56 tips. Kirsty is on 55 in 2nd. Paul, me, Brett are on 54 tips. So that's the top 5 at the moment. My brother is in 10th spot out of a 13 tip league. 13 tipper league, so he's doing very poorly, which is quite funny to look at, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, Jack. He'll probably be watching this. I do want to give a little shout out to someone here. So, Brooke, in our tipping comp, she tipped Port Adelaide against Geelong. Absolute massive effort. I have to give you a round of applause there, Brooke. The fact that you've picked Port Adelaide, I don't know if you're a Port fan. If you are, you're the most one-eyed Port fan in the fucking country. Because no way should anyone have tipped Port Adelaide in that game. Good on you. My brother didn't pick them. He was nowhere near picking them. So congratulations for you to tipping that. And is there anyone else here we need to give a shout out to? Not really on the tipping front. Every other game. Did anyone tip Richmond? If anyone tipped Richmond, you're getting kicked out of the league. No one did. Okay, that's good. All right, so not everyone's, off their rocker like Brooke is. But, I mean, good on her. She fucking went out there and picked Port Adelaide. Absolute fucking out of nowhere. Who the hell would have thought Port Adelaide would win that game? Anyway, she's currently in 6th spot, so she's right behind myself at the moment and a couple of others. But Brandon Ness still has the lead in the tipping comp with 56 tips. So congratulations to him right now.